Turn off every light in the house. Go to the basement, unlock the storage door, and don't tell your wife anything. My older brother almost never raised his voice. So when he shouted those words at 3 in the morning, I sat straight up in bed. Daniel, you're scaring me, I whispered. Just do what I said, he snapped. Right now. Then the call ended. My name is Marcus Hale. I'm 41 years old and I live just outside Denver, Colorado. For the past 15 years I've run a small construction supply company. My life is usually quiet, predictable, the kind of life you build when you want stability. But my brother Daniel lives in a very different world. He's been a police investigator with the Denver Police Department for over a decade, mostly handling organized fraud and financial crimes. If Daniel called at 3 a.m., it meant something serious was happening. Beside me, my wife Laura stirred slightly in her sleep. You okay? She murmured. Yeah, I said quietly. Just checking something. I slipped out of bed and moved through the dark hallway. The house felt strangely silent. At the basement door, my hand hesitated on the knob. Daniel had said one more thing before hanging up. Marcus, whatever you see down there, don't open that door all the way. I unlocked it slowly. And through the narrow crack, I saw something that made my heart stop. Through the narrow crack in the basement storage door, I saw movement. At first I thought it was just a shadow shifting from the streetlight outside the small basement window. But then the shadow moved again, slow, deliberate. Someone was inside my storage room. My heart started pounding so loudly I was sure whoever was down there could hear it. That room was supposed to be empty except for old boxes, tools, and the metal cabinet where I kept paperwork from my business. And the door had been locked. I slowly stepped back and pressed the phone to my ear again, redialing Daniel with shaking fingers. He picked up immediately. Tell me exactly what you see, he said quietly. There's someone in my basement, I whispered. I know, he replied. The calmness in his voice made the words even more terrifying. You knew. I breathed. Yes, Daniel said. And listen carefully, Marcus. That man down there isn't a burglar. My stomach tightened. Then who is he? Daniel paused for a moment before answering. Someone who's been watching your house for weeks. Cold fear crawled up my spine. Then the shadow inside the room moved closer to the door. And suddenly, the handle began to turn. The handle on the storage room door turned slowly. For a split second I froze. My brain kept telling me the same thing. That door opens inward. If he pulled it hard enough, he'd see me standing right there. Marcus, Daniel said sharply through the phone, step away from the door. Now. I backed up quietly, every step feeling louder than thunder in the silent basement. The door creaked open another inch. Through the thin gap, I saw part of a man's face in the dim light from the small basement window. Mid-30s maybe. Dark jacket. Calm expression. Not the nervous look of a burglar who'd been caught. He looked comfortable. Then he spoke. Marcus Hale? The man called softly. My stomach dropped. He knew my name. I didn't answer. Daniel's voice came through my phone again, low and controlled. Do not talk to him. Daniel, I whispered, who is this guy? But my brother didn't answer right away. Instead, he said something that made the fear in my chest turn into something colder. Because if it's the man I think it is, he isn't here to steal from you. My throat went dry. Then why is he in my basement? Daniel exhaled slowly. Marcus, check your business records tomorrow morning. Then he added quietly, I think someone is trying to frame you. Frame me? I whispered, barely breathing. But Daniel didn't explain. Marcus, listen carefully, he said. Leave the basement. Go upstairs. Lock every door. Officers are already on the way. My mind was racing. Daniel, that guy is literally inside my house. I know, he said. And if I'm right, he's not alone. Those words sent a wave of cold panic through my chest. I backed up the stairs slowly, never taking my eyes off the basement doorway. The man inside hadn't followed me. He hadn't shouted. He hadn't even tried to run. He just stayed there, waiting. When I reached the top of the stairs, I locked the basement door and moved through the dark living room toward the front window. My hands were shaking now. Red and blue lights appeared at the end of the street. Police cars. 3 of them. Within seconds, officers surrounded the house. I opened the front door just as Daniel's unmarked SUV pulled into the driveway. He stepped out quickly, his face serious in the flashing lights. What the hell is happening? I asked. Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked straight at me and said something that made my stomach drop. Marcus, someone has been laundering money through your construction company for months. My mind went blank. That's impossible, I said. But Daniel shook his head slowly. That man in your basement. He paused. Is one of the people who set it up. For a moment I just stared at my brother. Daniel, that's insane, I said. My company barely clears 6 figures a year. There's no way anyone could run money through it without me seeing it. That's exactly why they picked you, he replied quietly. Behind him, 2 officers moved toward the basement door. My chest tightened. Wait, I said. If they planted something down there. They already did, Daniel interrupted. The officers unlocked the basement door and disappeared down the stairs. A few seconds later I heard a voice echo upward. Detective. You need to see this. Daniel motioned for me to stay where I was, but I followed him anyway. When we stepped into the basement storage room, my stomach dropped. The metal cabinet where I kept old tax files was open. And inside were 3 black duffel bags I had never seen before. One officer unzipped the first bag. Stacks of cash. Bundles and bundles of it. Another officer opened the second bag. More money. The third bag contained something even worse. Several folders of fake invoices and bank transfer records, all with my company's name printed across the top. Daniel looked at the documents, then back at me. Marcus, he said quietly. They were about to turn you into the fall guy for a multi-million-dollar laundering operation. I stared at the duffel bags, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. That money isn't mine, I said, my voice sounding distant even to myself. I know, Daniel replied calmly. One of the officers led the man from the basement into the room. Up close he looked exactly like he had through the crack in the door, calm, composed, almost relaxed. Not the behavior of someone who had just been caught inside another man's house. Daniel studied him for a moment. Ryan Keller, he said. Financial courier. Works for a laundering network we've been tracking for nearly a year. The man gave a small shrug. You finally caught up, he said casually. My head snapped toward Daniel. You knew about this guy? Daniel nodded. For weeks. My confusion turned into anger. Then why didn't you warn me? Daniel looked straight at me. Because we needed them to believe the setup was working. I felt my chest tighten. So you used my house as bait? Before Daniel could answer, Keller chuckled quietly. You're asking the wrong question, he said. I glared at him. What question should I be asking? Keller smiled slightly. You should be asking. Who inside your own business helped us get access to your house? Keller's words hung in the air like poison. Someone inside my own business. For a moment I couldn't even think straight. That's impossible, I said automatically. There are only 3 people who have access to the building and my files. Daniel didn't speak. He was watching my face carefully. Who? He asked quietly. I swallowed. My office manager, Susan. My accountant, Rick. And my warehouse supervisor, Tom. Keller gave a slow nod. Tom Alvarez, he said. The name hit me like a punch. Tom had worked with me for almost 8 years. He'd helped me grow the company from a tiny storage unit into a proper warehouse operation. I trusted him with everything, inventory, deliveries, even access to the security codes. You're lying, I said. But Daniel was already pulling something up on his phone. He turned the screen toward me. Security footage. The camera outside my house. The timestamp read 1:42 a.m. In the video, Tom's truck rolled slowly into my driveway. A minute later he stepped out, carrying the exact same black duffel bags that were now sitting open in my basement. My stomach twisted. Daniel looked at me. We arrested him an hour ago. I stared at the screen, disbelief slowly turning into something colder. But Marcus, Daniel added quietly. This wasn't even the worst part. I looked up at Daniel slowly. If that wasn't the worst part, then what is? Daniel hesitated for a moment, the way investigators do when they already know the truth will land hard. Tom didn't pick you randomly, he said. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? Daniel glanced at Keller, who was leaning casually against the wall with his hands cuffed behind his back. Keller smiled faintly. You really don't remember, do you? He said. Remember what? I snapped. Daniel exhaled slowly. 3 years ago, he said, your company outbid another contractor for that state warehouse renovation project. The memory surfaced instantly. Yeah, I said. We won that bid by about $50,000. Daniel nodded. The company that lost that contract was quietly owned by a shell corporation. He paused. And that shell corporation belonged to the same laundering network we've been investigating. My chest went cold. You're telling me, this whole thing happened because of a construction bid? Keller chuckled softly. You cost the wrong people a lot of money, Marcus. Daniel placed a hand on my shoulder. But you did one thing right. What? You listened when something felt wrong. Later that night, after the police left and the house was quiet again, I locked the basement door. And I realized something that still stays with me today. Sometimes the only thing standing between an ordinary life and complete disaster is a single phone call at 3 in the morning.